Hello everyone, and welcome to our backyard. I had a question posed to me this week that really made me think. And the question was, what plant in your garden do you not need? And my first reaction was, well, none, because I need all of them. But it was a serious question, and so I really gave it some serious thought. And what the question made me think of really is there a plant or plants in my yard that just aren't doing their job or aren't performing like they should? So they really shouldn't receive the spot in the garden that I've given them. And I was really surprised when I went through this exercise. I was really surprised with my answer. So instead of taking the easy way out and naming a plant that I don't really like, and that is my bougainvillea that I thought had died in the freeze, and it hasn't. And it's actually doing pretty well right now. I really gave this question serious thought because the motivation behind it is to try to identify a plant or plants in the garden that aren't doing their job or aren't meeting their goal, aren't meeting my goal. And as I have mentioned, I garden along the Texas Gulf Coast in Zone 9A, south of Houston. And my goal really is to create a backyard space to invite butterflies, hummingbirds, and birds. So I need a lot of plants that grow well here, like you see here is a shrimp plant, that grow well here, but also provide cover and berries and nectar and our host plants to their caterpillars. So I really did give that question serious thought. Do I have a plant that really could be replaced in the garden? And like I said, I was surprised with my answer. And my answer is a butterfly bush. And you say, well, how, as a butterfly gardener, can you not have a butterfly bush? And I'm not going to get rid of my butterfly bushes per se right away, but it really surprised me, and it really made me think why that was my answer. And I'm showing you my Miss Violet butterfly bush. I have it potted, which I have all my butterfly bushes potted now, because in the Houston metro area, we have really dense clay soil, and we get tons of rain every year, and it's hot and humid. And butterfly bushes do not like wet feet. So I have lost 5 butterfly bushes in various parts of my full sun garden, and I have purchased another 5. So this is 10 butterfly bushes. I still have 5, and this is the one that's struggling the most. So Miss Violet here does not like its life. This is my oldest butterfly bush. It's also in a pot, and it's a dwarf butterfly bush that I got at Lowe's, and I'm going to show you the tag. This is from the Buzz series, Buzz Hot Raspberry, and it does okay. It flowers. I love the smell, I love the colors, but I have to spend a lot more time on these butterfly bushes worrying about not getting them too much water, getting the right amount, because they're potted now. And once they're potted, they do need more water because they're not in the landscape. So I can't let them completely dry out in a pot, because then, of course, they do awful. And so, which of course I have tried that out also. So this is, like I said, this is my oldest butterfly bush that I have that's still with me. The next three butterfly bushes that I have are my newest butterfly bushes that I got to replace the ones that I lost in this raised bed. And they're doing okay. They are in pots. This one is the Dapper Lavender. I really, really like the fragrance on this particular butterfly bush, but it's not super happy. It's okay, but it isn't super happy. It gets full sun, it's got great drainage, and it's not getting overwatered. So it is not in the landscape like I showed you, it is in a pot. My next one is a dwarf butterfly bush, and I'm going to show you its tag, and it is the Lo and Behold series, Blue Chip Jr. He's doing okay also. They all got pruned in the spring, and they all had a pretty good spring flush, and now he's okay. He's not necessarily going gangbusters, but he's flowering. They all are flowering. Just not stellar in my landscape. My last butterfly bush I'm going to show you is Miss Molly. And Miss Molly, I love the color of the blooms. I'm going to show you her tag. Miss Molly. And she also is doing okay. I'm going to bring up the information tag. So all these butterfly bushes are rated for my hardiness zone. They all need full sun, which they are, and they are perennials. They need well-drained soil. They need airflow, pretty good spacing, and they're all set up for that. So why did I choose butterfly bushes? Well, I love the colors. I love the fragrance. But my butterflies don't flock to them. In fact, given the choice, I have lots of butterflies in my yard, and they're here every day, all different kinds, all different types. And it's very enjoyable to watch and see where they go. And of course, different butterflies prefer different types of flowers. I have butterflies that will even land on tubular flowers. So, what's up? What's up with my butterflies? Well, they just prefer a lot of the other flowers in my yard. For instance, this is one. They prefer Mexican flame vine. Butterflies are on this thing constantly, all day long. Swallowtails also really like pentas. Lots of butterflies do, but I tell you, pentas are a huge hit. Lantana is gorgeous in the landscape, and it also attracts butterflies just constantly. And you can get different colors of lantana. And quite frankly, you can get the mounding type, so it's not sprawling or trailing all over the place, and so it stays contained within the area that you planted. Of course, it gets bigger, but it's not, if you get the right type, the mounding type, they don't go all over the landscape. Greg's Mist Flower is another favorite. Oops. They are on here constantly. And porterweed is probably one of the big favorites. I see butterflies on porterweed more times throughout the day than I do almost any other flower. Bang for my buck, I have found that it's not necessarily my favorite plant, but it is one that I will have in my yard because of the pollinator attractor that it is. The nectar replenishes from porterweed all throughout the day, and so pollinators can visit these blooms and oops. I'm going to come over to my red porterweed here. Pollinators visit these blooms and they always have nectar. So because the nectar is continually being replenished, they continue to visit, and that is a huge attractor. And it's a wonderful plant to have in the yard. I'm going to pan back just a little bit. And like I've said in past videos, you wouldn't think, so this is the whole bloom spike. You wouldn't think just because it blooms along a segment of the bloom spike, and then tomorrow it'll be, a little bit, and it continues to go up the spike. You wouldn't think that this would be such a huge hit, but it absolutely is. And like I said, I would not have a garden now without porterweed. It is just that high performing. And of course there's annuals like Tithonia and also Zinnia, which I'm gonna pan over here. Zinnias, which they also love. And so I see them on these plants more than I do on my butterfly bushes. I also want to mention salvia. This happens to be Mystic Spires. This is rock and fuchsia. And I've done videos where I've shown the different salvia that I have in my yard. I think I have 11 or 12 different salvia varieties now, and butterflies are very attracted to different types of salvia. Milkweed also is a huge attractor. The blooms are a huge nectar attractor to all different kinds of butterflies. You'll see butterflies on these tiny little blooms all throughout the day also, which is fun. So you might ask, what's the purpose of asking that question and trying to answer it? And the purpose for me was to identify a plant in my yard that I've given lots of attention to, that I have tried again and again to grow. I feel like I've got a fairly good solution with growing them in pots. But I have 5 places throughout my yard, full sun yard, that are coveted because I don't have lots of spaces in full sun, and they just aren't performing great or stellar. And so what does that mean for me? Well, it probably means I'm not going to put a premium on butterfly bushes like I have in the past. So when they do give out, or if they just aren't performing and die, I will not replace with another butterfly bush. And quite frankly, I never thought that that would be the case until I really did some thinking really through that question. I have mentioned that I am interested in adding more natives to the landscape, and so that's probably what I'm going to do. So I am not going to get rid of butterfly bushes and just go out and try to replace them, but it does help me in my long-term planning on what I want to include in the yard and really put a premium on the plants that are most successful and really help me achieve my goal better. So I have that question for you. Do you have any plants in your yard? Meaning, do you have a plant in your yard that isn't achieving your goals, your gardening goals? Is it given some really good space that could probably be used by something that would perform much better for you? Really sit and think about it. And if you would, put in the comments if you did that, really sat and thought about it. What plant in your garden would you replace? And what would you replace it with? It's a good exercise. It really made me think. And I'll be honest, I was really surprised with my answer. Thanks for joining me today. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.